I will tweet that at you now.
Do I have a mouse? Aha!
Tweet, tweet, tweet.
Chirp, chirp.
Oh, shoot.
Why am I going to Twitter? God damn it. Live.
Super fascinating for everybody tuning in already. But we are sharing to so many devices and platforms.
You're seeing how the sausage is made, folks. This is the behind the scenes. You should be charging you for this on the DVD. DVD.
This is all
Okay.
yeah,
You kids
this is all the inner workings.
You kids gonna play this in your DVD players?
I mean, I use mine all the time. I still have Netflix DVDs. I'm like going through the top 100 like best movies from Sight and Sound, and you know, all these Criterion collections and stuff. They're really protective of their streaming rights, and even if you get one online, like, you know, it's probably not that awesome a quality. And I don't know, it's kind of nice getting the DVDs, getting the special features all in one place, and not having to dig.
What episode is this?
90.
90.
Wow, we're getting old.
Oh, that's not even the beginning of it. This is Salt Tier episode 90. How many episodes did we do of the podcast which shall not be named?
That's a good question. Where were we at? Like 100 and something, weren't we?
We were.
Yeah.
Well, we were no, I think we were at like 80 or 90.
Okay, but before that we did a bunch, huh?
Well, we did like the 20
No, I just need to mute.
But yeah, we're probably close to 200 like total, which is bananas.
Totally awesome.
I mean, the whole restructuring and, you know, the live video idea and the sponsorship and everything just put a lot of gasoline in the tank, and we just we went 1 billion miles an hour after that. Okay, everybody good? Everybody all shared? We got Stotts in here.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yep, Stotty. All right. Here's the click for the audio. 3, 2, 1. Maniacs, thanks for joining us again. This is Salt Tier Podcast, where your argument is
cheesecake.
Worth $7.5 billion.
I want cheesecake.
I miss the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh.
I really miss the Cheesecake Factory. Just going across there during con.
You.
Yeah, but they don't provide vegan cheesecake, so.
Also, trying to go to cheesecake during con is
dangerous.
Such a bad use of time.
I have friends that work there.
I do too. We have a podcast host that worked there forever. Melocalypse. What it do?
But I think you all mean invalid, right?
Yeah, we need the argument is valid. We are Soundcasting Network's very own video game podcast, and we are not coming to you from Studio 212 in South Lake Union, Seattle. We are from 4 separate locations, and we have our phantom other hosts. One behind the scenes in London is probably what? Watching TikTok?
While she can.
While she can, right? Before China blows everything up. Thanks for joining us. This is episode 90. Episode 90. We're getting up there. And we are, of course, brought to you by Voodoo Ranger IPA. Hashtag live rangerously. Part of New Belgium, which our lovely Shavebell is having some right now.
What's my name?
Sagebell.
Sound like you said shave.
Shavebell.
Shave bell. He said
you don't want the fuzzy bell. You want the shaved bell. Dong.
It depends on your preference.
Yeah. So New Belgium Brewery.
I'm just gonna sip my drink.
B Corp certified and employee owned. Such a beautiful brewery with many, many fantastic products, but specifically Voodoo Ranger, which has a pretty awesome presence in the gaming scene. I don't know. I'm trying to think how many of us went out to the beer garden at PAX last year, but they had this beautiful setup. It was amazing. And Lauren was there. Woo! Thank you,
Yeah.
Lauren.
May I suggest the spice pumpkin that is now in season right now?
Atomic pumpkin?
Yeah, the atomic pumpkin.
It's
I do not have a box for that
Yummy.
one yet,
Yes,
so I have to buy it
we had
or get it donated.
We had a pack of that here. It came and went. It didn't even make it to the podcast. I tried to save one for the podcast. Didn't make it.
Marika's savoring the last two of the mango IPAs because they're out of
Oh.
season. She's like, I don't like the pumpkin as much.
they do have quite a bit going on. That said, let's do some intros, and we're gonna have our guest intro last. I am Loud and Brown at Loud and Brown at Salt_tier pod.
You look
on
rad,
Instagram and
dude.
Twitter.
You look rad. Loud and Brown looks rad.
Brah.
Tubular.
I'm rocking these pit vipes right now. Von Shady talked me into it, and I got a couple pairs. That he is quite the influencer.
You let
I
Von
am-
Shetty talk you into anything. Don't do that.
He did. He did. He's good at that. He knows that he knows how to push my buttons. But I'm also Gross Stuff with a PH. That is on Steam and PS4. I didn't play a whole lot of Steam, just Tekken. And to my I guess my
Over here about to wrap herself up in a scarf.
Yeah, I don't know how I want to wear it. It's a different cut than my normal scarves, but you can't really see it very well because lighting and yes, lighting. Hi, it's me, Sage Bell on most media. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, Patreon if you feel like it. I never add people back on Steam, or even BattleNet. I just like, who is this person? SageBell_model on Instagram and on Facebook. I need a little bit brighter light. So what did I play over the last week? Let's see. We played Dead by Daylight.
awesome.
Did Screaming,
Nice.
you know, as you do when you're just running around. I don't think we won any matches. No, I think maybe we did. I don't know. It was bad. They were good. The new update definitely played in the killer's favor, and so the rest of us running around trying not to died. Matt Stotts knows, because he's playing.
Scotty.
Also, at the end of the podcast last week through today, I have playing Among Us.
Same.
Among Us is you can get it, you can put it on your phone. It's free on your phone. It's like $5 for PC. The only problem with phone is you can't like also be in voice chat at the same time, whereas on PC you can be in Discord and playing. So it's a little difficult.
PC Master Race.
It's a little bit more difficult to play on your phone and argue your point if you're doing a whole group voice chat.
Yeah.
So Stotts was playing from work on his phone. And joining like Skylar and I and all the serial people. And I was like trying to defend Matt because Matt was with me, but there's people who didn't know us. And so he's like, well, the serial totally killed that guy. He self-reported. I'm like, I'm with the serial. He didn't even report anything. And it was like, Sage, you're the. I was like, no, I'm Sage. I am not the serial. I'm just speaking for the serial.
You totally broke the meta of that game. You broke immersion. That's what happened there.
Everyone was being sus. It's fine. Everyone kept thinking it was Skylar the entire time, and he was never the killer.
I would assume Skylar was the killer anyway.
I would always
would.
assume Skylar's the
I
killer.
would assume you would. Yep.
I mean, his argument is going to be less valid when he is the killer.
Hmm.
I mean, go for the legs. He's a tall boy, so
Yes, yeah, just aim for the shins. Take
aim
him
for
out.
the shins.
And then I guess in the cube below me.
What's up? You got the save rings. ... How's everyone doing?
Awesome.
Find me on Find me on Steam. I wasn't really playing too much this week. Hit me up on Twitter at Gaming. I have posted some videos to my YouTube channel as well. Shameless plug. But what I've been playing this week, not really too much. I beat the newest DLC. I think I might have said this in the last podcast. I beat
You beat the Flight
the new-
Simulator DLC?
Yeah. I beat the world. I
You
went
beat
to all
the
the
world
I beat
at
the world.
flying.
Yeah. Yeah, I win at flying. I'm the best simulator.
Ow. Anybody here?
I beat the DLC for Borderlands 3. I hit the level cap, and now I'm to the point where there's newer items and there's newer builds because now that you have 5 extra points. So now I'm just like in the process of starting to go back and farm things, but it's the grind. So I haven't really touched it too much. Haven't really played Stellaris too much. I haven't really played anything this week. Now that I think about it, I'd have to look, but that's it. I kind of had a boring gaming week. Besides the news was crazy. But as far
The
as
news is
playing,
insane.
Yeah.
I have a whole list here for us to go through.
Yeah.
Woo.
So and we'll get to that because I haven't been playing much.
And that other voice you're hearing. Oh,
Yep.
was that it? Sorry.
Nope. Yeah. That's it. Right over here to my.
That other voice you're hearing, welcoming him back after. I think the last time we had you, were you even living in Seattle yet?
I think so. I think it was right after I first moved here, but I've been here over a year now.
Yeah,
And
I drove you back to your apartment.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
have
but that was a long time ago.
the legendary, illustrious, and fantastic Darkain back for the attack. Ow! Introduce yourself, and how can people follow you if you want people to follow you?
So I'm Vince. I rant a lot. I'm sometimes known as Vince Rants. Darkain. Sometimes I have to add an MX to it because people like to steal my name. Back in the day, I was known as that Cosmic Sky because of something that I did. I can't even remember what that is now. But about that, later in the podcast, I'm going to be revealing a new name for you guys to be calling me by.
Oh,
I'm still Darkain, but it's in the same vein of like the Cosmic Sky, basically a new project I'm working on.
Oh,
That's directly related to all the gaming stuff that we're doing. Since I'm starting up a new project, I'm gonna give you guys a little sneak peek of what I got planned and what's going on with that. For games I've been playing though, when I'm not working on that, I'm gonna blame Goon for a lot of this. Goon got me playing Fall Guys, and then Goon got me playing Among Us.
Yeah.
And then because it just came out this past week as well, my mother got me the Mario collection, so I've been playing a crapload of Mario 64.
Nice.
oh,
I was just playing that game on the virtual console on the Wii like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they didn't touch it up at all, did they?
Actually, they didn't. That was one of the things on my list of topics to talk about is what they actually did to change the game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna think, like there's all those tricks and exploits that all the speedrunners figured out in Mario 64.
So if you want to jump right into that as the first topic, we can.
That's a good segue, actually.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Oh, before we get too far deep into this, I'm gonna do a countdown for a freeze frame. Is everybody ready? This is for the thumbnail. 3 and
Nice.
2 and 1. Thank you. And we are moving to Mario Collection. Hit it, Darkain.
Yeah, so I mainly want to talk about Mario 64 specifically. There's some updates done to the other two games, but it turns out Mario 64 specifically is entirely running on an emulator, but it's not the original game entirely. It is.
I heard about this a little bit. Yeah.
So it is mostly the original ROM, but let's get into some technical details first, especially for gamers from like before the N64. We're talking the NES and SNES era. Like, raise your hand if you had a Game Genie, a Game Shark, an Action Replay, any of those cheating devices.
No.
You know about them though, right?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
I'm aware of it.
For
I think
sure.
the closest thing
So-
I had a second generation PlayStation, and I bought that spring.
So we're not talking modding right now. We're talking just game hacking. So
Yeah,
like
well,
putting
the
in cheat
spring
codes and
didn't
stuff.
actually mod it. All it did is allowed you to play
Pirated
Bird-
games. Yeah.
huh?
Pirated games.
Yeah, pirated games and Japanese games.
Yes,
And,
yeah.
in Hawaii, I had a lot of access to imports. So a lot of my friends had that PlayStation. You just put the spring on and we were playing awful Dragon Ball Z games. They were bad. They
But
were
anyway,
bad. Anyway.
These old cheat devices, they worked by inputting like, these numeric or numeric in text strings as little cheat codes, right?
Mhm.
And like for those who aren't as familiar with programming, what you're literally doing is, let's say you're reading like a text document on a computer, right? And you want to read the 12th character in the document, and you have a little instruction that says take character 12 and put it on the screen. What that cheat code does is it's a device that intercepts specific instructions. So instead of reading character 12 from the game cartridge, like the physical ROM cartridge, it's like, hey, I'm going to replace that with this other character. So instead of like getting a 1-up gives you 1 life, a 1-up is going to give you 99 lives. And it just replaces that number in real time as it's being read off of it. It completely replaces it. So the reason I bring that up is because of the way the Mario 64 ROM actually works. So from everything that I've read, it looks like it is nearly identical to one of the original Mario 64 ROMs, possibly the PAL version. I'm not sure. I need to go do more research on it because that was a newer copy of the game. But they essentially have a cheat device built into it that intercepts certain instructions in real time and replaces them. Most of those are reading textures. And so like the texture for the start button on the very initial screen is the start button from the N64, and that's been replaced with the plus button on the Switch controllers.
Okay.
And there's other textures in the game that they've massively upgraded too. So they're basically intercepting these calls in real time to load certain textures from the ROM and replacing them in real time with higher quality textures that they've built just for this port of the game without actually modifying the original game to do it.
Huh.
That's bananas.
Yeah.
The current prevailing theory why they did it this way, and this goes for all 3 games, by the way, is that we think there's going to be an anniversary collection of Zelda next year. And with them already doing all of this complicated patching and updating process, they can just slap together the 2 good Zelda games for the N64. You take the Zelda for the Cube and whatnot, and you can release an anniversary collection that's been upgraded with modernized textures and cleaning up and making it look prettier while still using the original 3 models. All the old gameplay, which means all the old cheats and tactics still work because it's literally the same game.
Nice. That's pretty clever.
So that answers your question about do all the old breaks work? They should. I'm not good enough to do a lot of those tricks in Mario 64.
They're bananas.
You know
Some
what,
of them
though?
The things I can do work exactly like I remember them 100%.
That's kind of crazy because I was expecting like the bad news. Like usually when you hear companies like go and like remaster things, it's always like or they. So that was good. I was not expecting good news to come out of that.
Yeah. So it's again getting the technical side of it. There's a YouTuber. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's basically he's a console hacker. He's written a lot of the console emulators himself way back in the day in the early 2000s. And he's done like a deep dive into this to see how it works and, theorizing ways that this could be used going forward for future releases.
Cool.
So we can expect to see more upgraded releases of old, ROM images, basically.
Nice. Cool beans.
It is
Yeah.
cool beans.
Yeah.
I really fell off of the whole Nintendo universe because I was a Genesis boy. And after the Genesis, I went to PlayStation.
There's room
so
for
no
both.
SNES. No, there's definitely room for both, but not in my household. I didn't. I had one console at a time. I didn't. That's not what I got. And so I had to pick. And so I stuck with Gunstar Heroes and Sonic the Hedgehog.
Striders.
And I went from that
Altered Beast.
straight to Battle Arena, Toshinden, and Resident Evil.
Nice game, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I missed, and I'm not saying I chose that. Just the time when the consoles came out.
Yeah.
Like, I already had a Genesis when the N64 came out, and they're like, "We're not going to get you a new one." And by the time I was thinking of maybe trying to get an N64, the PlayStation got announced, and like so many things about it were just appealing to me. They're way more fighting game oriented.
Yes.
And I saw all the launch stuff from Japan. I'm like, sorry N64, like I want this system. It's gonna have Street Fighter Alpha. Like I freaked out.
Street Fighter Alpha 1, 2, and 3 were all amazing games. I have the anniversary collection that has all of the
PlayStation,
2s and the Alpha. Okay, it doesn't. Some of the releases were good at least.
Yeah.
Also, the original Soul Blade game
Yeah,
was freaking amazing.
it was
It
great.
was horribly broken. It was not balanced at all, but
mean,
it was fun to play though, and that's what really matters most in the game.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
is
I have
having fun.
I have a fun little story about Battle Arena Toshinden. That was one of those first games that you could load the whole game up when it first booted up, and you could put in like a music CD. So I had
that's
a
right.
so I had Tina Turner's Greatest Hits. So I like put that in, and we would play Battle Arena Toshinden, and it would play Simply the Best. Like that was the track that it picked.
So the Xbox was the only one where you could actually build a library, right? And play the songs over titles.
Yeah, it had a track list on there.
And obviously that's one generation farther. That compared to the PS2. But I don't remember the PlayStation 2 being able to do that.
And you could rip it to the hard drive. Well, the PlayStation 2 didn't have the hard drive. That was the Xbox's advantage. So you could rip those songs to the hard drive and just stream right off the hard drive.
Oh, look at us going down memory lane.
Yeah, that was pretty dope. I still have my
I got a lot more memory lane here for us.
I know. As much as that memory lane is fantastic, we need to hit this news because it's going to be so beefy. Before we hit the big topics, Darkain,
yes,
or Sage Bell, or Saverings, ... Any tidbits or small news that you want to hit? Because these next two are going to be like 20-minute conversations each.
I do have one. EA is ditching Origin, and they're going to relaunch it as the EA desktop app. And
I thought it was weird to make a new name for it anyway.
Well, and it kind of looks like GOG. Was it GOG Galaxy? A good old games launcher. That's what it kind of reminds me of. Same color scheme.
Speaking of which, have you used the GOG launcher?
Yeah. I got a couple of free games off of there and was using it.
But have you linked it into all your other accounts?
No, I haven't done that yet. But it reminds me
of
the
GOG launcher as a universal launcher for all of your PC accounts. So it links into Steam, Epic, EA.
It's like Launchbox, like on an emulator. Yeah. And Launchbox just takes all your emulation games and puts like the title art with it and the description, and you can just launch everything from there with your controller. So it does that too. So I haven't done that yet, but just from looking at the EA.
You mentioned the one thing it's missing though, which is it doesn't have controller support yet. It doesn't have big picture mode like Steam does. That's the only thing I want it to have.
Yeah. So that's gonna be interesting. So we're gonna have another Steam-like, and it's gonna be from the ground up from EA. And this is also encouraging because this just means EA is gonna start putting their stuff everywhere. So that's good. You buy EA stuff from more than one place than just EA. So that's a good thing. So that was it. That was my little tidbit.
Well, super tight. This is already such a technical episode. I love it. We haven't. I've been obviously a lot pretty quiet because when it comes to coding or a lot of PC based stuff, I is not where my wheelhouse is at all. I got my Dell Optiplex, and it is like Saverings ... walked me through it, and it is doing everything I need a PC to do at the moment.
Yeah, and the other good thing about that is you have a lot of upgrades to go from that. So one day you did want to upgrade it, there's a lot of paths for you, and it's all relatively inexpensive too.
There's enough room, but this whole COVID lockdown has me like drunk shopping online at least every month. At least once a month I'll wake up and look and be like, $260, what did I buy? And I look, I'm like, oh, all right, I'm getting a pair of Sambas and 2 baseball caps. And it just, so it's inevitable that I'm going to jump on eBay, or, because you know me, I love used stuff, or I'm going to jump on something, or I'm going to hit you up in the middle of the night and be like, I'm looking for a full-size tower. I'm going to upgrade because, the Optiplex is a mid-size tower.
Yeah.
It's an 870, right? I have.
No, I think you have a
760.
You have a 780, something like that. A 760 or a 780.
That barely fit. There's a big card.
Yeah,
but it looks beautiful.
You're due for an upgrade, though.
That's true, but the games that I'm playing Cuphead, Tekken, and
Tekken will look crazy though if you have like a decent enough card.
Yeah,
it's almost too much. You got to like turn it down. Like, there's a lot of shit happening right now.
Truth. So, Maniacs, we are on to the juicy topics, and I want to start off with card talk. Are we all cool with that? Because we're talking about PC builds. Look at that segue.
Yep.
We were talking about how I have a 760. It's gone a little farther than that, has it not? Savorings ...
Yes. And anybody else can chip in on this because this was quite the story this week.
I want you to kick it off, and I definitely want not 2 cents, but like 80 cents from Darkain, because you might have something to say.
No, I got 2 cents right here. My F5 key is broken.
Yeah, right? Right?
My F5 key is broken right now. That's the end of the story.
And it's
What
all
is-
for naught. It's
What's
all
F5?
for naught. F5 is hit refresh on the browser.
Oh.
So basically everybody lined up. Some people actually did line up.
Yeah, and they actually got it.
Yeah.
Our
Luckies.
homie Von Shady and our distant friend that loves us but hates social media, I'll go by his gamer tag Momar. They were up at like 6 a.m. trying to get one. One of them had it in his cart.
Yes.
And when he went to buy, it glitched and said, "Sorry, sold out." And he's like,
Yeah.
"It was in my cart."
Yeah.
Jerk.
Everybody check out our Facebook page. I posted this I posted like the perfect meme for it. So
But
check it out.
I've been talking broadly about it, explaining the maniacs in plain English what we're talking about. What happened this week?
So basically, what day was that? The 17th, 18th. The 18th, the new NVIDIA cards went on sale. These are the brand new generational updates to the graphics cards made by NVIDIA that you'll find in, the most discerning of PC gamers machines. But basically, these cards went on sale. The bots, people set up programs, lines of code, set it all up in a UI and pointed at different websites, which navigates through all the menus and everything. It pings the website continuously until that item clicks to buy now, and then it just runs through and buys it as many times as it can. So it's
the same tech for Supreme drops and
if you've ever played an MMO and you've seen a character like fishing, like the entire time you've been leveling up, there's just a character just fishing, and like when you talk to them, you talk to them and they say nothing back, or it's an auto response like that. Yeah, that's
so in plain English, we are finally moving from the 2000 series of the NVIDIA GPUs, right?
Yep.
To the 3000.
This is the introduction of the 3000 series.
Yes.
And Maniacs, correct me if I'm wrong, I do not remember this much hype with the 2000 series.
There wasn't.
No, there wasn't.
Now, why is that? Because I figure moving from the 1080 is such a big deal because the 1080 Ti was the card for what, 2 years?
It's 3 or 4, and technically it still is, because right now that means you can find those cards on eBay for like $250, and that's a fucking steal.
So you're saying I should buy a 1080 Ti?
Yes, if you bought a 1080
Ti right now,
dirt cheap for like $250, $300 tops.
You got to remember, my tower right now costs a total of $200. So
I know, but like this thing will go through the roof though. Like you'll be fine. Like all your stuff 4K, like especially the stuff you play, you'll be.
Stoddy says ray tracing.
Well, here, so let me explain this. Why the 20 series had very little hype behind it. So, all the different reviewers and gamers and everything, we love benchmarks and we love frames per second and all that crap, right? Mm-hmm. 2080 or 1080 Ti to any of the 20 cards, frame rate increase was minimal at best. But as you just said, that a very, very important word, ray tracing, at launch, there were 0 titles. And it took, I believe, 2 months before any serious titles started hitting the market. Yeah. And even then, they were modest graphical increases.
Yeah, it'd be
but there was no performance increase.
Yeah, well, actually, there was a performance decrease if you turned it on.
Yeah, well, RTX specifically, yes. If you turned it on, you'd actually get a performance decrease from the 10 series. So if you kept it off, you'd have like the modest increase. But who wants to spend like $1,000, $2,000, $2,500 for the the Titan card for like an extra 5% in performance? It just it didn't make sense then. But that was 2 years ago. It's literally been 2 years since the 20 series launch.
And how much was it at launch for the top card?
The top card was the Titan for $2,500.
Yeah. Whew. But like the Titan is for one the Titan it usually only exists to be the bridge between like a professional card and a gaming card. It's more of a professional card.
I don't agree with that.
And also it only exists.
And it's style points. It's only for style points.
That was my point too. my second point is just to have a card that AMD and nobody else could touch. So we're like king of the hill, like style points. Like you can't beat this card. Nobody's
Well,
really gonna buy it, but you can't beat it though.
Okay, techies, real quick to interject. What do you mean when you say the in between of a gaming card and a professional card?
Professional card would be like a Quattro card, is what the NVIDIA cards are. Basically, the cards that you would use if you were Pixar and you were trying to like render The Incredibles 3 and stuff like that. Like
So
so
if
like
you're
profe-
a game developer versus
yeah, if you're a developer,
gamer.
if you're Pixar, if you're
And
NASA,
how much are those?
those started like
Thousands.
those started like 6 or 8 Gs. Like that's
no,
what
I
those
want to
started.
say the top end card is about 40,000 right now.
Yeah,
Woo!
yeah.
But
Yeah.
we're talking again, like
Oof.
when you're making, millions to billions of dollars on your products. Like think of Epic, right? Epic Games. They're going to have a whole fleet of these cards during development because the Epic, has the Unreal Engine, which is powering half of the game industry right now.
Yeah.
Like they can, and of course Fortnite, of course, just prints money.
Yeah. And
Those
the
are
other
Apple.
crazy part about these are they're used for way more than
Maybe not
graphics.
for long.
It's kind of crazy. Most of the graphic cards that are sold are meant to go into like server farms and stuff. Don't even have video outputs on them. Like they use them in a bank. These cards are used for artificial intelligence and for other things like that, and for managing power grids and stuff like that. Besides, like gaming is just like the offshoot thing of what these cards are actually built for. So
Jesus.
that's what I mean. Like the Titan is more like a bridge. It's like the next
so-
card's up
right.
from that. The next card's up from that. That's like your professional grade cards.
Well,
Yeah,
the Quadro cards, you have to think of them like going back in the old days of technology. We had like co-processors. You had like your main processor, then a secondary processor that had special functions on it. We're back in that stage now where these cards are literally co-processors to your main processor, and it's used heavily in gaming. And that's what drove the change initially.
Yes.
Is you remember when NVIDIA came out with the very first pixel shader? Like that was just unheard of, like godlike technology.
Yes.
But again, like the 20
a good
series
time.
games didn't use it, and so you had to wait until the software used it. And back when that launched, everyone's like, "Oh, pixel shaders are worthless." The current games don't use it. You don't get any FPS advantage, nothing like that. But as soon as games started using it, they started looking prettier, and then the performance started coming through. Everyone's like, "We can't live without it now," and that was actually a huge controversy for Nintendo. Because Sony and Microsoft had consoles with pixel shaders and Nintendo didn't, and developers, the third-party developers went away from Nintendo because of that one and only one feature.
Yeah.
And now that Nintendo has it, all the computers have it, all the consoles have it.
Yeah.
Now we're seeing ray tracing is the next thing after pixel shaders
And
to
not
really
only
push the industry forward.
Yeah, and not only that, with these cards, like 4K gaming is actually a viable thing now. Like even on the 3070, the entry level mid card, which is like $500, you can run games comfortably at 4K 60 FPS now. And this isn't like the best settings, but it's doing it comfortably. So everybody's been talking 4K, 4K,
This is
4K.
important.
Now it's actually happening. And the other point too is like you mentioned earlier, the 2080 Ti, it's a unicorn. I watched a video this guy made, and it was really interesting. There's only been 2 cards in the entire history of graphics cards where it kind of like made the next couple lines after it just like redundant, and people were like weren't really interested, because you had this card way back here that outperformed it. It was the 1080 Ti, and it was like the 8800 GT or something like that, for like the NVIDIA card from like 2006. That card lasted until like 2012. People were still maxing games out on that card. So for about 6 years, there was a drop off in graphics because everybody just wanted to go back and buy that older card, and that happened again with the 1080 Ti, and that's another reason why the 2000 series was kind of like, eh.
So there's a couple points I want to bring up here, because like earlier today, so latest breaking news on all of this, NVIDIA put out a huge apology. It wasn't a tweet. Like everyone just thinks, oh, they're going to put out a tweet. No, they put out an entire Q&A article addressing every single concern that the community's been having. But to go along with that, I want to bring back one of your points real quick before I really dive deep into that. You said 4K gaming specifically, and this is why I'm going after the card specifically. Because everybody has their own needs. We've been talking performance, the ray tracing capabilities, all this other stuff. I don't care about any of that. I'm not going to be using it for ray tracing. I'm not going to be using it for the latest, greatest gaming. I'm going to be playing like a lot of these simple indie games that will run on my current cards. But there's one feature that is brand new to this card no other video card on the market today has.
So
this card has HDMI 2.1.
Yes.
And we're a little bit technical here real quick again. If you have like a nice, good gaming monitor, you can get a gaming monitor that's 4K high refresh rate. I, however, have a gaming television, not a monitor. So it does not have DisplayPort. It only has HDMI, but it's 4K 120 hertz native. there is, before the 3080, there's 0 video cards on the market that can drive native resolution at native refresh rate.
And as a side note, the newer consoles are going to have HDMI
Yes.
2.1 as well.
Yes, both the new consoles will have it, and I've just been dying to just have my desktop render at its proper resolution, even if I'm playing really, really old indie games or something like that, because just having that image stretched, because I'm usually running 1440p at 120, just so I can get, because I prefer the frame rate over the resolution. Like the frame rate makes a bigger noticeable impact on the games.
Yeah, that's what I run my stuff at, is 144. I have a 2080 Super, so I'm good because I play everything at 1440p.
Yeah, but having a 4K television, I've been dying a literally entire year to actually be able to use it. That's how long these things have been on the market, waiting for the video cards.
So, to all the hosts that are speaking right now, everybody knows what card I may or may not have, because I don't remember what model it is specifically.
I think it's a 780.
780.
Which was also a very solid card.
What are the GPUs that you three are rocking right now?
I have the smallest one. I could go first since mine's the.
Yours smaller than mine? Mine was free.
So is mine. That doesn't mean size.
What you got, Sage?
But I'm saying I spent the least amount of money on it.
So I have a Radeon RX 580,
which is another almost unicorn type card.
Yes.
Like that's
a
very
workhorse?
that card will be very viable 3, 4, 5 years from now, depending on what you're playing.
Wow.
That's basically the power level that's in a Xbox One X, and the Xbox One X was actually severely bottlenecked by its CPU. The graphics card could push way past 4K 60 on a lot of the stuff that they had, but they had to limit it because of the
limit.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Because of the CPU. But
Sage Bell's graphics card is pretty awesome for
now. Yeah. For an AMD, that'd be the card I'd recommend for most people. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so a lot of people, because my computer struggles with things, everyone's always like, "Oh, you need to update your graphics card." I'm like, "No, I need to update my CPU and my motherboard." And so I am actually getting those, but since we're not technically talking about all of that right now, we're just
I didn't know you were getting a new motherboard. That's fantastic news.
Are you holding up for a second? Like hold up for like a month, because they're right about to launch all the new stuff.
No, I'm not going for new. I had a budget. We already did this. We did this at PDX Land.
Okay, it's going to drop it down a little bit. So if you already have your parts, then keep an eye on them, because flat prices are going to do some fun stuff.
They're going to drop really quick next month.
Yep.
Oh, my computer's I just got to go down to Portland and pick it up.
Oh, they already got it. Okay, all right, you're good then.
Like, so it already exists. It's not like on order. It's like
Well, the parts came to somebody. Somebody already had the motherboard, a case, and a PSU. It's a power supply unit. So I got to pay a lot cheaper on those. And then we got me a Dark Rock 4 CPU cooler, a Ryzen 7 3700X.
Nice. You're good.
I already have my RAM, so I didn't have to buy RAM.
And it's RGB. Nice. I got to point out it's RGB too.
It makes it go faster.
Yeah. So this RAM was not compatible with my current build, so I've just been holding on to it, and now it's going to be with my future build.
Nice. Hey Russ,
Sorry,
just to it's because it's in the chat. So many I'm interrupting. My dear friend from Hawaii that gifted me the card. He told me what card I have. It is a 970, my friends. Woo!
Not bad.
You have a 970?
Yeah.
Oh, you're good then. Never mind. You're good.
Okay. Continue. What is in your hand, Sage Bell?
Oh, this is the RAM.
Oh, okay, sorry. I looked away, and then I saw that you were holding something, and I was like, what is going on here?
I was like, I don't know anymore. What? Oh, yes.
It's RGB.
Yeah, it's the DDR4, which apparently my computer runs with a 3, and there's 3s and 4s.
Yes.
Newer generation.
How much do you have? Is that a 1632? What you got?
That's just 16, but it came free, so
16 is
it's a start.
Plenty.
It's a start. It's a start. At some point, though, especially streaming, you're gonna want to pick up that 32, like just so you're not worried about it and everything.
Eventually, well, yeah.
And RAM's cheap right now too, so.
I'm gonna have an actual solid state drive that actually like bloop into my
M.2.
CPU.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Western Digital Blue 500 gig solid state drive. So I don't technically have solid state drive in my computer. I have like the nice thick boy. It's like somewhere in between. It's a Western Digital like fatty disc kind of.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you're getting one of them.
I
Yeah.
can't reach mine. I have like a whole box. I have like
Me
10 or
too.
15
Yeah.
M.2s.
I have like 3 of them like sitting right up here, and I'm just like, I'm not.
Mine
gonna
are all
use them.
Installing
server
the-
drives though, so
Mine are
If
dusty.
you need to know what the MOBO is for you too, Gigabyte X570 Gaming X ATX AM4.
Ooh, a 570 board. You're good then.
yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
know what that means.
It's what I'm running right now.
Oh, okay.
I like it.
And
Yeah.
that's
Let's see.
It's the top end AMD board right now is anything X570 based.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The case is from the mod contest PDX land, so it's a fractal design Meshify C ATX mid tower case.
Yeah, you gotta post all this
Sweet.
when you get it. You gotta set up a photo.
Yeah.
You gotta set up a photo shoot with everything.
With
and
the
then,
thing. Oh, photo shoot with it. Yeah, we'll put that all over
Yes.
Insta.
And I believe my power supply is going to be stronger than the nice backup one you got me,
nice.
which is
Yeah, that's just quick and cheap is what you got
Yeah.
right now if it's the one that I bought. Yeah.
yeah, it is. It's the Corsair CXM 650
650 is
W80.
fine. Yeah, 650 is the wattage. That's good.
Yeah,
So
if you're-
much stronger than what I have.
yeah,
Yeah.
and but moving forward though, if you're ever gonna buy like a beefy graphics card down the road, you're probably gonna want to go higher than that because these new ones are hogs.
I am in talks with our own Von Shady about one of his old graphics cards.
Ooh.
Cool.
Segway, Save Rings. What's your GPU, my friend?
I'm rocking a 2080 Super in my main gaming PC right now.
Hate you.
I also have I also have my streaming PC, which I've been tinkering with, and I haven't really been doing any streaming or any capturing. That has a 1080 Ti in it, and then
Nice.
my other specs, I got a 7800X in my gaming one, 32 gigs of RAM. I got the cool M.2 drive, and in my other one, I have a 2700X and 32 gigs of RAM. So
That's
what I have in my 2 little main computers, and then my kids have computers like all over the house. So
good. Gosh, how many towers are in your household?
let me count. Functioning towers: 1, 2, 6.
That is a PC Master Race household, I
Yeah.
must say.
Yeah.
Please
All
don't
right.
ask me how many computers I have.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
but
then-
Darkain,
and then-
what is your main muscle? What are you rocking?
I'm going to talk about 2 machines.
Okay.
I actually have two that I use regularly. The one I'm on right now is my primary, day to day. It's my gaming machine. It is my work machine. It is my, everything machine almost. So this is a 2070 Super, but I hate you.
Solid card though.
You are 10 higher than me right now.
Yeah.
The-
Speaking of F5, I did do that with this card when it launched. I got up at 6:30. I got up 6 in the morning and F5'd and bought it.
But
last
the reason I
October.
wanted the 3000 series was actually not for this rig. I'm actually keeping this rig, the 2070 Super.
solid
This
card.
has this has a 3900X processor,
Ooh.
and you all are probably going to crap your pants over this. Both
Probably
of
not me.
those.
I don't know what that means.
So it has 64 gigs of ECC RAM. So it's a little bit slower, but because of the work that I do, I want to guarantee consistency. All of that in a DAN case.
Wait.
City RAM.
What board are you on?
It's an ASRock X570 with Thunderbolt 3, and with a Thunderbolt 3, I'm using a laptop dock that has more USB ports, and then that has a Thunderbolt pass-through to 10 gigabit Ethernet for my network.
So your motherboard has Thunderbolt and it supports a server RAM? Or no, not server RAM. That's like laptop RAM, right?
Well, no, ECC. All AMD processors support ECC.
Okay, like natively, like right there in the
Yes.
socket. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so there's only 2 sticks. This RAM is not on the market. That's the crazy thing. It was never released. This is prototype RAM from Samsung that I can only find 2 vendors in the entire world that sold it. And one of them actually sold it to me, I think, for about $150 a stick, which is actually really, really freaking cheap for 32 gig sticks.
That's crazy. So
Yeah,
like I figured like the Threadripper ones would, but I didn't know all of it did.
Yeah, that's one of the good things I pushed. Anyway, my second rig, which is on the actual big TV over there, it's actually a really, really old HP Xeon workstation, so processor and crap don't matter. I'm replacing all of it. I'm building a new HTPC to replace it. That's what I wanted the 3080 for, but for right now, that's also rocking the RX 580, just like Sage.
Yeah.
That I think right now has 48 gigs of RAM of ECC. I can't really remember. I do so much experimental hardware stuff.
Yeah.
Like I have an actual server with 300 gigs of RAM sitting right next to me right now.
Yeah.
That has what, like 48 terabytes of storage or
So like
something like that.
So like for our users,
What?
Xeon processors are Intel's server grade processors. You can't
Server
find some
and
good deals.
workstation.
Yeah, you can't find some good deals, and some of them like traditionally have been like very decent gaming machines too. Like if
Yes.
you wanted to run it like that as well. But those natively support like the ECC server stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There's different types of ECC, by the way, so don't just look at that. There's registered versus unregistered, buffered, unbuffered, all that kind of crap. So like there are a lot of nuances in that. So the type of RAM that these two systems take are actually entirely different, even though they're both ECC. So just anybody who's listening that's like, ooh, I can just go buy this and go on eBay and buy used ECC like I do. Do a little bit of research first to make sure that the chip and the socket and the RAM all actually go together, because there's a lot more nuances in the high-end workstation and server space and what is and isn't compatible. It's not like desktops where you have the Intel generation socket and the AMD generation socket. In servers, it's generation plus this plus that. Like there's a lot more variables for compatibility.
Goodness.
Fun
So,
stuff.
Maniacs, that's what we have in our towers. That was longer than I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But it's good because this is the tech fat, baby. The tech fat, baby. So, what does this mean in the culture of PC tower builds and PC gaming community on the whole? AMD versus Nvidia. What does it mean? Say somebody wants X product for Christmas present. Like how is this shaking up the community, and what does this mean for the future of PC gaming with the 3000 series?
As of right now, the 3000 cards haven't done anything because it's been a paper launch and all the scalpers.
No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. And the numbers, like a lot of these numbers, can't be directly stated because a lot of people are under NDA. But people behind the scenes are saying the 30 series has the same launch figures as the 20 series. But NVIDIA has come out and said demand, at least by users on their own website, is 10 times higher.
Oh yeah, I mean, but that's because of all
literally, and that's not a vague number. That's not just a random pulled out their ass number. They literally stated 10 times the number of demand compared to the 20 series.
Well, I mean, but we were just talking about that, like the whole reasons why it's like that, because the 20 series was kind of just it was kind of just So it makes sense for this, and the scalpers won. The scalpers won this.
That's two. So there's a few things that went into this. There were scalpers this time, which there weren't before. There's higher demand in general. A lot of people are on lockdown and became gamers all of a sudden and wanted to learn how to build PCs, which is great.
And streamers.
Yeah,
a lot of streamers popped up out of nowhere.
And these cards are beastly for that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Oh, this is another thing to watch out for. This is something that, I don't know, it could turn into a 970 situation since we were just talking about the 970. I own a 970, and I got a check back for $30 because I own it due to a class action lawsuit. Darkain knows all about this. They advertised it to have 4 gigs of video RAM, which it technically did, but 500 of it was partitioned off, and it was slower to kind of take care of like system resources and stuff. So you were only really getting 3.5 for actual gaming. There was a class action lawsuit. They lost a big, like, what, $400 million settlement, something like that. And everybody got $30
for them right now.
Yeah. So there might be another situation like that brewing with the 3080. There was something that I saw, and somebody pointed this out, and this was kind of, you could see it for yourself if you watch the Digital Foundry review of these cards, their first initial review of it, where they had any kind of specs. People that were running the game with full settings at different resolutions, particularly 4K. If you're running it at 4K, full settings, and you turn the ray tracing on, or even before you turn the ray tracing on, the 10 gigabit, the 3080 has 10 gigs of video RAM. It was already running up against 8 or 9 gigs used with the ray tracing turned off. So in a lot of games, it's already going to hit a bottleneck right out the gate.
That's actually been debunked already, by the way. I don't want to get into technical details. That'll be a whole hour discussion, but that's actually already been debunked. That's actually due to bad programming in the games, that they just over allocate the RAM. Okay. If you have 4 gigs of RAM, it'll allocate 4. If you have 40 gigs of RAM, it'll allocate 40, because the game is just set to pre-allocate as much as available in case it wants to use it in the future.
Yeah, and also I was thinking like DLSS is supposed to be a thing that curbs that down as well.
What
and they kind of
want
to get
is DLSS?
They kind of want to get people into using that technology. Basically,
upscaling.
Yeah. The concept Yeah, the consoles do it too. They'll take little bits of the screen that you're not really going to pay attention to, the edges.
Yeah.
It'll dumb it down to a lower resolution, and then once it's broadcast to your screen, it kind of like upscales it again. So it's running at an actually lower resolution, but they use AI that's in the GPU to make it look sharper than it actually is. But to your eye, when you're running around, it's not going to look any different to you. So it saves performance that way.
DLSS, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 2.0 is supposed to be really good.
Yeah. 2.1. I mean, 1.0 is just kind of okay. I guess it's doing
It
something.
was ugly.
Yeah. It made the edges of Minecraft like really blurry and stuff like that. But I guess 2.0, and then they're already talking 3.0. It's supposed to be
Minecraft, get that.
minor, major. No. A ray trace Minecraft is a very beautiful thing.
So it's gorgeous.
It's a
Freaking
very
gorgeous.
beautiful.
I don't play Minecraft, and I played it just for it.
Yeah. It's pretty, but it hammers your graphics card though. So that's another reason why.
Speaking of that, though, can we segue into this one other topic that I've had written down all day just for you guys?
Yes.
Is it the one that you're collecting responses on your Twitter?
Yes, you saw my Twitter post. I was specifically asking about artistic gaming and the beauty of different aspects of games, right? And the reason I'll just go to the conclusion first, I guess, just to get it out of the way, and then go into some of the notes that I wrote down here. The thing I want to talk about is that I'm getting back into game development finally after 20-some years since I got out of it. I started up a new Twitter account that I'm starting to document all this on, and we're talking like I'm in pre-alpha stage right now. I got like 10, 12 polygons on the screen. So it ain't nothing right now, but I'm specifically going for an artistic look first before I start importing all the rest of the content that I have in my head. Because from a programming perspective, that's my whole life. I know I can do the programming. The art is going to be the hardest part of it. So on Twitter, I have Synthwave Game. And that's where I'm starting to document this. You can see the progression as I'm adding polygons to the screen. I'm starting to move them around. You can see how like I'm doing different blending effects. I'm going to start adding in more effects next weekend because this is just kind of like a weekend project, right? I'm hoping next weekend I'll actually have it where it's interacting with the gamepad and because I'm already moving the object around, but I want to record video of actually showing how like the particle effects that I want to do are going to work. But the reason I brought up the question on Twitter about artistic gaming is that a lot of games have a specific artistic appeal to them. Gaming, is supposed to, affect us emotionally and, impact our lives in different ways. And I put up that question as asking, like, what does artistic gaming mean to you? Like, what is an artistic game? And I had a list of games already on my own. Some of them I've played, some of them I've not. And other people gave some really, really damn good examples. There's a couple here that I just want to go over real quick. Let's see, where is my list I built just for you guys? I'm going to start with the darkest game first, actually. It's called The Beginner's Guide. If you have never heard of it, I had never even heard of it. One of my buddies just streamed it one day. The Beginner's Guide is actually a game about indie game devs and how fans treat them in real life. And so if you want to talk about like toxic nerd culture and everything like that, this game actually gets really, really heavy into that. And how you experience that on both sides and go through kind of like the mindset of a developer going through burnout and everything like that. And it's really like this interesting narrative game that's like basically the real life incarnation of a person brought into the game of his experience making the game that you're playing. And so it's not visually artistic, but it's more of that like story-driven artisticness. Like what a lot of RPGs would have. Yeah,
it's terrible from the creators of Stanley Parable.
Nice.
Thank you. And of course, like when I was on Twitter, people brought up there's a lot of common themes. Journey is a game that's very artistically pleasing. I forget who it was in here. One of you might have been Loudon Brown mentioned Cupheads. Like
Cuphead, of course.
The first time I saw Cupheads, I'm like, this is game changing. Like it is like the artistic direction of that game is just
great. So as
perfect.
A graphic designer, a lot of aesthetically directed games appeal to me very much. Yeah. The first example I can think of in the indie scene is when I saw the trailer for Limbo. I looked at that and I was like, I am downloading that instantly. Like I'm going home and playing it, and it's beautiful, and it's subtle,
and terrifying.
and it's terrifying, but it's got like a lot of heart. You know, the story's really cute. It's so weird. It fits that like Tim Burton-esque
Yeah,
like
definitely.
perfect point where it's adorable but scary at the same time.
Yeah.
And I love aesthetically pleasing games, you know? Especially when they have their whole art style that almost makes it part of the gaming experience on a technical level.
That's exactly what I'm going for with this. Like that's why right now I'm calling it synthwave game. So if you listen to like a lot of synthwave music and you look at the videos for them, you'll have those like really harsh contrast, you know, the bright blues, the bright pinks, things like that. And that's like the entire palette of, you know, these entire videos.
Sure.
And that old like 80s retrospect look. And the music has that 80s feel, but with modern mixing and some modern instruments mixed in with it. And so it's kind of like 80s and 2020 mashed together simultaneously. And so like that's why I'm starting with just basic polygons right now, because I want to intermix, you know, like really, really old programming tactics with like modern pixel shaders and everything else like that to really push them to that next level, to give that, you know, that really crisp high def 4K look to very simplistic polygon lines and things like that.
Sure. For some reason, I'm thinking of Blood Dragon right now. But here, what culture did a whole like kind of synthwave like that? That's the vibe right now. We're talking about Dragon Force as like synthwave music videos where they used to be just power metal like 8 years ago.
It's making me think of like those like 80s and 90s like triangles on like a zebra background with like the chrome. Can I do it? with like back in the 70s and 80s, the future was chrome, kids. Everything was supposed to be chrome. There's supposed to be like grids in the sky, like
and you know what's paper. Another great example, especially when we're talking about the music, is Hotline Miami is synthwave all the way.
Another good example of that, yeah.
And also so hard, I can't beat it.
Vice City, might as well throw Vice City in there too. It's got that.
Vice City is a little bit. I mean, you know, and apparently there's a game called Neon Drive. I wasn't aware of.
My kids play that game, and yeah, it's very much like that. It's kind of like you're driving the car from Automan. Hey kids, you remember Automan?
And Devolver has a game called Katana Zero. Perfect.
I actually pick like half of Devolver's games, and they kind of fit that mold. So
yeah, you're not wrong.
So we had a little cue at the beginning of this. The gameplay though that I'm going for is think like Raiden, Gradius, but mixed graphically more like Geometry Wars.
You know what? Oh, stop it. Because at the beginning when you were like, I only have like 5 or 6 polygons up, I was going to interrupt you and be like, well, Geometry Wars, there you go. You got a hit. And then you just said it. Okay. He said it.
Well, that's exactly like, think of like a synthwave Geometry Wars, but that's like graphically what it'll look like, but play style closer to like Raiden and Gradius. Because we haven't had like, there haven't been that many good bullet hell games, but like, well, we have a lot of bullet hell, but not the more like casual adventure style, you know, space shooter games. Something that everybody can pick up and enjoy.
Bookmark that sentiment, because I do want to squeeze in the major news of the day at some point before we close out, because we have to discuss this. No, really? The other big news nobody saw coming.
Oh, the one that happened today?
Yes,
yeah,
the one that happened
morning.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
On Carmack.
Want to move on?
Sure.
I think that's a good time to move on. Everybody, stay tuned to Synthwave Game. I just followed. I just followed it on Twitter for details on what Darkain's doing with that.
Post that to the Facebook too.
And how many Survive songs he's gonna try to license by talking to the band, and how perfect that would be. To the maniacs that don't know what I just referenced, Survive is a synth rock band. 2 of the members made the soundtrack for Stranger Things. So they are those bruvs that get it. They totally get it. You know, a lot of matadors going on, kind of stuff. And it's beautiful. And it perfectly matches synthwave. But the big topic of the day, I am going to have Saverings ... start it. And then have Darkain.
What's up, Darkain? What you going to say?
No, all I was going to say is like the easiest way. I just want to sum up all of it in one simple question.
What's up?
Can you name a game studio Microsoft doesn't own?
Well, I mean,
Everything that Tencent owns.
that's true.
Hey.
Hey, and actually, this company that we're about to discuss was like the other company I was keeping my eye on, besides Tencent. But we were talking about the segue before, being artistic in games. Well, this is where this is where that artistic part meets business. So we're gonna get into that part. Name a studio that Microsoft doesn't own. Good question.
Capcom.
And after, who's to say at some point? Basically today Microsoft was just throwing that money around, just throwing it around. And I don't know how, kids, I don't know how to tell you this, but Microsoft bought not just Bethesda, they bought their parent company. That is a baller ass move. Like, I have to almost stop and correct people when I see these articles. I feel like dropping a comment. They're like, Microsoft buys Bethesda, and I'm like, no.
They bought ZeniMax.
They bought the parent company. They bought their boss.
Yeah.
So that's kind of big. They bought them for $7.5 billion. Kids, think about that. That's
Gonna be a lot of layoffs.
That's $2.5
Probably
billion.
not.
No, yeah, I think they're going to retain a lot of
Microsoft
those
is good
guys.
about keeping studios together.
Yeah. As compared to other corporations, at least. But basically,
except for like when they bought Nokia, that doesn't count.
Yeah. Speaking of Nokia, this is what $500 million more than what they paid for Nokia. This is $2.5 billion more than what Disney paid for Star Wars. This is 3.5 more than what they paid for Marvel. This is three times as much
more than a Muppet.
Yeah, 3 times as much as what they paid for Minecraft. So this is crazy. But at the same time, it's only
multiple studios. It's a lot of studios.
At the same time, it's only a third of what they paid for LinkedIn, though. So we get perspective.
Thank you.
Do they own DigiPen too?
No, that's Nintendo. Like, not a fit. Wait, does Nintendo own DigiPen?
No.
No.
DigiPen was in Nintendo's offices.
Okay,
they were leasing space from Nintendo, but they grew so large they have their own campus now.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
they definitely have their own campus.
Thank you,
Okay.
London.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
Red
yeah.
Ring of Death. Oh.
So basically,
Had that happened to me once.
think about this, you guys. Microsoft bought ZeniMax. So not only do they own everything Bethesda does, which is Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Prey, Dishonored.
the Bethesda parties are the
Oh.
best parties.
Oh, that's
they
a Microsoft party
don't
now,
have WB
baby.
Games because that's separate.
That might change soon because isn't AT&T trying to pawn them off? So that could very much change. Actually, that would have been the one that didn't surprise me if that came out today, because we'd heard about that a couple weeks ago that AT&T might.
And their
AT&T
studio's just being absorbed in, like, it's right there. Next.
Yes.
I do want to give one piece of news, though, straight from Phil Spencer himself. What he said
Yes.
today
What's up?
is that he has agreed to honor all console exclusives in this deal. So anything that was exclusive PS5, and they're time exclusive. They're never permanent exclusives anymore.
Yeah.
But anything that was time exclusive PS5, Phil Spencer is honoring all of those contracts. So
I was gonna say,
we're not getting screwed.
I was gonna say, except for Demon Souls. Demon Souls confirmed PS5 only. That's a bummer. But just make me get a PS5, I guess.
Isn't the new Spider-Man going to be PS5 only, or is it going to be both? I think it's
No,
PS5 exclusive.
PS4 and PS5. That'll be on the PS4 as well.
Yeah, they did announce it was on the PS4 this week. That was actually a huge controversy.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we don't need to get the PS5 yet.
Exactly. That was the controversy.
All Marika's about. She wants that
Unless-
new Spider-Man. She wants to
unless
play
you
as Miles.
Unless you want that Demon Souls, which is what I'm after. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. But this is also every company that their parent company owns, and Bethesda is also a publisher. So they own id, like you said. They own the company behind Doom. They own
Quake,
Arcane
Wolfenstein.
Studios. Yeah, all that stuff. Wolfenstein, Quake, Prey, a bunch of other stuff. So Elder Scrolls Online, all this stuff. So that's all under the umbrella of Microsoft now. So if you think about it, In Exile is a company. They make the Wasteland games. Wasteland 3 just came out. Excellent game. It's on Game Pass if you haven't had a chance to play it. They own that. That studio is run by the creative director of the original first 2 Fallouts. Obsidian is made up of mostly ex-developers that worked on the first 2 Fallouts. Microsoft owns both of them. They just bought Bethesda, which owns the IP for Fallout. So in theory, you could see a couple Fallout games from the original creators as a result of all this, which would be fantastic.
So here's another question. I've been wondering this all day, and I don't think it'll happen, but it's still an interesting question to ponder. Does Microsoft have the power to bring John Carmack back into game development?
Yes. Especially,
I don't think so. I actually don't think so, but it's
Here's
still in
the-
my mind.
here's the hook. Here's how you get him. You let him start developing your mixed reality, because that's what he left for in the first place, was to go work on Oculus.
But he left Oculus. Why did he leave Oculus?
Because I worked for Oculus and I left Oculus too. So there's a lot of reasons to be
the
bailing
reason
over there
he
right
actually left is because he's now completely dedicated to AI research.
now. Okay.
So if
Well,
Microsoft could give him an AI research position with Azure Cloud with unlimited resources, because
Which they
right,
could
right
do.
now, if you follow his Twitter, he's complaining that cloud providers have actually been denying him resources because he's an individual, not a company. So they don't think he qualifies. And so he's been having to go behind channel to get like resources to do his AI research.
I think Microsoft would be smart to talk to him and be like, oh, and by the way, we have your old company here if you'd like to do some things here. We have mixed reality if you'd like to help us out with that. Have at it. So yeah.
So yeah, I've been wondering like what John Carmack is going to say about this deal for his old company.
So yeah, that's another interesting thing. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's something else to watch out for.
I haven't looked to see today if he said anything, because he usually comments on stuff like this pretty quickly. He's a very vocal and public guy when it comes to big deals like this.
And my whole thing is, if you gave Peter Molyneux carte blanche, you should at least try it out with John Carmack. I mean, come on.
For those that don't know, John Carmack is basically the guy who pioneered modern 3D rendering on computers.
Basically, Doom. You guys know Doom? Yeah, it's that guy. You guys
Y'all
know
have
original
phones,
Doom.
right?
The
You have
original
phones?
Doom.
Yeah. Do you guys not have phones?
Maniacs. We are having a fantastic discussion, but it is that special time where I have to ask for closing statements about this fantastic time. And I'm going to go in reverse order. And I'm going to start with Darkain. Closing statements on GPUs, on Bethesda and Microsoft as a whole, about synthwave games, about COVID beards, about anything on your mind, and how the other maniacs that are tuning in can follow you and support you, and what your favorite Voodoo Ranger beer is.
And what the average wind speed velocity of a swallow is.
So basically, I just want to close with one of the reasons I'm building this game.
Ignored.
Is actually very personal to me. My family grew up really, really poor, and part of the reason I'm designing the game from the ground up the way I am, coding everything from scratch without an engine, is that I'm targeting it to run on a Raspberry Pi. I think everybody should have the right to have a computer. Everybody should have the right to also game on those computers. And so if a $35 Raspberry Pi can do it, maybe even the $5, like if I can get it to work on the $5 Raspberry Pi Zero, I will. If not, like I was having some issues with that this week. But otherwise, everybody deserves the right to be a gamer. And so ultimately, like, you know, that's what I'm going for. Like, even if I could just make some simple little crappy little indie game, if I can make some kid somewhere in the world happy with a $25, $35 computer or whatever and being able to play this, my entire life is complete.
Nice. It's a good sentiment.
Cool. But how do we follow you, my friend?
Oh, also, I forgot to mention I am wearing my G4 shirt today on accident.
There you go. Hey,
so
this time
follow
Olivia Munn.
I don't worry too much about people following me. Follow Synthwave Game on Twitter at Synthwave Game. I will respond to every single comment I'll get as long as it doesn't get too popular. Like as long as we keep it, you know, small little friendly community. You leave me a message, anything about programming or gaming or anything, I will reply to you. So Synthwave Game on Twitter.
Got you.
Super tight. We will side skip over to Saverings. ... 1, 2, 3.
Not to be outdone, those on the podcast, I got my EverQuest shirt on.
Thank you. Oh, training. Specifically training.
I always wanted that game, and my dad would tell me no, but I just wanted the pretty elf girl.
You can actually play it right now. They just relaunched like the original OG like emulated servers, and they released the games, the expansions, and it's classic EverQuest. So it's EverQuest and the first 2 main expansions, and they released them. And they released them in the proper like release order. So it launched like last October, and I think this September is when the first, you know, because it was about a year, it's about 12 to 13 months in between the first the game and the original expansion. So the original expansion will be coming out in the same time, and it's all the original stuff. It's vanilla. It's fucking fantastic. So if you're into playing that Sage Bill, I'll play it with you. So we can play that We'll start from scratch, and it's way more fun with two people. Like if you have like a duo that's complementary, it's way more fun. So yeah, and the shirt says social distance training since 1999.
Ha!
So yeah, I had to pick that up.
Heckin' yes.
I had to pick that up because EverQuest. You know what? That might be
crack.
yes, that might be it is one of my favorite games. It's top 10. You can find me on the Steams. I'm usually just playing stuff. Join our Steam group, and we'll be handing out some games on there. We have handed out a couple games on there.
Nice.
Saltier Podcast, they're on Steam. We'll also have notifications, and we'll share when we are broadcasting and when our podcast and when anything new on YouTube pops up, we put stuff on there as well. That's about it. Everybody stay safe. I'm glad everybody made it through the quarantine, inside the quarantine with the smoke here in the Pacific Northwest. I'm glad that
God, that was terrible.
Oh
Smoke
my gosh.
Week.
Yeah.
It
that
might
was
be back.
It's like Shark Week, but shitty.
Yeah. So it's like Shark Week. It's like Shark Week, but with smoke. But that's all I got. Everybody just stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Pass it to the lady right above. My upstairs neighbor.
So technically, my shirt's also a gaming shirt. You can't really see the other colors, but you can see a Zapdos in the middle, and so it's a Pokemon Go shirt.
Nice.
Sweet.
So it has all three of them. Just the other
Zapdos.
two are darker, and those are my boobs. So we're not going to get up in the camera.
Hi.
I don't know. Find me at Sagebell. Most places where you can think to find me at Sagebell. If that doesn't work, it's usually Sagebell_model. Unless we're playing Valorant, then I'm Sage Bees.
Nice. Easy to find.
Yeah. Well, Valorant, you know, like, because Riot requires like numbers too, just like Blizzard. So you have to figure all that stuff out. And let's just hold our breath and see what the government allows us to keep playing.
Yeah.
That's very, very true.
Yeah.
And Sagebell, please, what is your streaming schedule so the Maniacs can stay tuned?
Catch me 100% for sure Thursdays at 7 p.m. Since the only multiplayer game that we both own that is horror based, it's Dead by Daylight.
Hey.
But we're trying to for spooky season. I might log on, put on your notifications for when I go live, so you can see if I jump on at any other random time during the week.
Super
if
tight.
I'm not dying.
Woo! Thank you. Maniacs! This has been episode 90. It's been a trip. And before I do closing statements, we have to thank Voodoo Ranger IPA. What a beautiful, beautiful brand and company. And
Please.
Lauren, just a
Lauren,
fantastic human being.
please send more Atomic Pumpkin. SOS.
Oh, I know. We gotta
more Atomic Pumpkin.
And I want to thank Pit Viper because I look sweet and I wore it the entire episode. I usually take them off a couple times or at some point in an episode, but it's matching this bandana so well.
Yeah.
Pit Viper.
Yeah.
And I want to thank all of these nerds right here. I love. Check out Craving Amazing. Once we're out of COVID, we'll be doing events very soon. Stay tuned with our fellow host, Goon PNW. He's throwing a Tekken tournament this week. And, Dragon Ball Z 5v5. Canada versus the Pacific Northwest.
I thought it was Tekken this weekend.
Is it Tekken? Yeah, you're right. It's Tekken this weekend, and then there's a 5v5. Sorry, he emailed me to do graphics for him for a 5v5 with Dragon Ball. So there's a bunch of stuff. Bonus round is very busy. He is a busy boy and kicking ass.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
As far as my closing statements, follow, like, subscribe. We are on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We are on SoundCloud, Facebook, Christian Mingle, Grindr, Zanga,
OnlyFans.
Live Journal. Our OnlyFans is quite weird, but money gets you what you want. Woo! And also check out Soundcasting Network. Thank you, Keith the Boogie, hosting us. The other fantastic podcasts on there include The Glow Up, How to Be a Better Drinker, many, many others. Scope it out at soundcastingnetwork.com. I am Loud and Brown. I'm at Loud and Brown on Instagram and Twitter. I am Grossdef with a PH on PS4 and Steam. This has been episode 90. Thank you. Darkain. We're gonna have you more because
love how
doing
you
these
just
virtual ones are so much
glitched
easier.
Completely
during
lagged
that.
out there.
Yeah, you just had no words, Derek. You were gone.
Oh, for how long?
Still gone.
Your
Kind of.
internet's out. You're having
Oh,
Wi-Fi
no.
issues.
Perfect timing. We are done.
Have a good evening. Brian, I haven't seen you forever. It looks like your baby's doing well. Have a great evening. Join our Discord and everything else.
Nice.